Hey everyone, I'm not sure. I can't seem to get this timed up correctly, so I'm just gonna start painting and hopefully it's live. Um, it is recording, so I'll at least get that. So today, um, so I'm doing a painting. Sorry, the video started playing back and it was kind of odd. Anyways, um, so I got this Sargent painting I'm just gonna do a study of. Not sure how far I'll get in it within an hour, but we'll see what happens. And I'm just going to do a monochrome. So this is just chromatic black and white paint. And I'm just going to start by getting a light tone on my canvas. So I'm just putting down any random mark. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I'm just trying to cover it up. Yeah, I was hoping I could see the chat and everything so I could answer people's questions, but I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but so I apologize. I won't be able to talk to anyone. I have to figure that out. It worked fine last week or last month whenever I did it, but I don't know. When I have it turned on in the browser, it's just behind. Oops. That was almost bad. I hope that's stable now. I'm just kind of knocking out the mass area where that head is going to sit. Approximately. Yeah, not ready for that yet. I'm going to come in and kind of push in a darker background first. I haven't done a whole lot of painting lately, so I'm just trying to get some of that rust out from not doing it consistently lately. And right now, just being very loose. So my paint is pretty thin right now. Really just kind of working on getting a overall head shape. And now I think I'll start to draw in some of the shapes and information. And now just kind of like block in the hair shape. Looking about where that brow is going to sit. Come down and get my nose third. Am I gone down a little bit too far? And get my center line. There's a bit of that up tilt. And I want to make sure the ears match that. And the painting I'm working on right now, this isn't a very large canvas. It's only 9 by 12. But it's something that should be small enough to get me to move along. Like I said, I'm not sure how far I'll get, but now come in and get my eye socket. I've got a pretty strong arch in that eyebrow, so I kind of want to get that somewhat in there. It's a pretty good piece of information to hold on to. I'm going to push that hair line up just a little bit here. At least knock it back. It'll all be covered up when I go with some thicker paint. It's funny, I feel like I'm picking up some old paint on my palette here because I'm getting some interesting colors that shouldn't be in black and white. Like when I smeared it out right here, I'm not sure that picks up on the monitor or not, or the camera, but it turned pink. Eh, kind of approximate where the upper eyelid is going to go. Yeah, actually, I'm just going to fill in that whole shape right now. And I might erase it out. There's a good chance I do, but just kind of getting some quick reference points to where the drawing is going to sit up. I can already tell that like, that space in between is looking too small. But it's giving me something to go with on a blank canvas here without starting with an actual drawing underneath it and just going in with a paint. Generally, when I do a short study that's anywhere from an hour to 3 hours long, I don't start with a pencil drawing underneath. I'll just go in with a paint. Again, it's just a study, so it's meant to be fun and have a short lifespan. Or at least this study is supposed to be short. Hopefully fun and, short lifespan. It is meant to be a quick study. Yeah, even that eye is starting to feel too big and too low, so I'll deal with that. I'll fix that when I get the paint in there. Actually, let's knock it back right now. Knock that one back too. Now it looks kind of scary, but that's okay. And just kind of marking about how far that beard is going to come out in comparison to the neck as well. Neck needs to be right about there, I think. I'm just coming back to my bristle brush here and fill this all in darker. And I'm sorry if you guys are getting any feedback from my head moving and I have a headset on right now and the cord just keeps rubbing up against. I'm not sure. Hopefully the sound is not picking up that sound, but I can hear it in my ear. And it's very frustrating. Now I'm just looking at the painting. I'll come in with some thicker paint now. I think I'll just stick with a bristle brush, but go a little bit smaller. The paint I'm going to put in, it's going to be thicker than what I've got on the canvas right now. It's still going to be pretty thin. And I just really want to scrub, being like in a scrubbing, pushing around stage. So I don't want to beat up my nicer brushes. I kind of mixed up a mid dark value. I think I might want that a little bit darker still. There we go. Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of just winging it. I mean, that happens a lot of times in these studies. I'm just trying to be relaxed, not take it too seriously. And worry about screwing it up live. But generally speaking, this is how I demo anyway. So it's like whether it's online like this or with a group of people watching. And overall, I'm not like concerned. Like I'm hoping maybe I capture the guy's likeness, but I'm not hugely concerned about that. It's not about making it look like Sargent's painting exactly, and it probably won't come out looking like it perfectly or even close in a short amount of time. But mainly just using it as reference for something to paint. Kind of coming in with a bit of a lighter value. A lot of times when I haven't painted for a while, I'll just do something in monochrome because I don't have to worry about the colors. I can just focus on brushwork, edges, and shape, and not worry so much in value, but not worry about the color aspect. Again, get a slightly lighter value, which might be a little bit dark for how I see it right now, but that's okay. I can lighten that up later. Just kind of looking at the nose and the eye. I think I'm going to push the eyebrow up just a little bit compared to where I've got it right now. Really just trying to focus on the large mass of the forehead. And same as I come over here and kind of just establishing that relative value. It might be on the darker side. which is okay because it'll be easier to put light on top of it. But that relative um, value of the face right there. Now I'm starting to cover up a lot of what I've established early on, but I don't care. Yeah, I can easily put that back in. So everything kind of started out chaotic beginning the stream, and it'll just continue to be that way, and that's fine. It's just gonna be one of those days. And I wish I could actually interact with some people. It's just, I don't know. I guess I'm used to talking to myself doing these when I record them for my Patreon, but those tend to be a little bit more educational, though, and they'll follow a flow with that specific purpose in mind. Here, I'm just kind of painting live, and that's it. So again, just trying to see where things are going. And we'll pick up another brush real quick. So I do feel, I have to re-put the nose back in, but gonna just kind of carve in a little bit on the right side. Then I'm going to kind of mix up a darker halftone. Kind of want to get some information on the side of this nose. It'll be helpful to get some of this established so I can understand my proportions a little bit better. Now that I have that nose in there, it's still pretty rough right now, but that's okay. I wasn't planning on getting it done. I just needed some more information to kind of um, judge the distance from the side of the face to the nose, making sure that's not too wide. And it could still be a little bit wide. I haven't made that decision yet, but that's why I established it. Yeah, just looking back and forth. Again, maybe raise that eyebrow up. I think a quick measurement. It's close. I think what I need to do is kind of come in from the bottom. That's cool. Like this eyebrow is very animated. It adds a lot of character to the person that Sargent was trying to portray. I think, according to the picture I have up, it's Edgar Vincent. Um, but that's what's very interesting about this particular portrait is the time that was spent on that slightly raised eyebrow that adds quite a bit of character to the painting and to the person himself. It's like what he's trying to say about the guy, or just, I don't know, adds that. It makes it more interesting than just here's a portrait. It starts to say something about who it is he's painting. So even if, like, for example, like I said, I'm working on this quickly, not the goal of trying to make it look exactly like him, but I still want to capture some of those features or interesting aspects of the painting. I don't want it to be, I want it to resemble something of what it is I'm doing. Not, like I said, I was just using it as a reference, but again, I want some of that reference or caricature of the painting to come through. So I think I'm going to come in with I'm going to go back to my bigger bristle brush. I really want to get some of the stronger contrast in here with the almost, looks like it's pretty close to black background. Of course, this is just a reproduction and a photograph of it, so I'm not sure how dark it actually is, or if it's straight up black, or if there's color in there. So it's always hard to tell in a photograph of a painting. But regardless, I'm just coming in with like basically straight black to kind of build up that background and to push the head overall a little bit more forward and get that contrast. Get some of that dark that's in the hair. I think I'm going to end up cropping off some of the hair, but I still want to kind of get it established. I might actually make it just a touch bigger so it kind of goes into. Actually, I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. Axe that idea. But a lot of times, again, when you're painting for like this in a quick situation or a life session, this isn't from life, but kind of replicating that idea of alla prima, the design choices are made on the fly and how things start to develop. Now, obviously, once the model comes in that you're drawing or painting or whatever, you might have a specific idea of what you want to capture, especially if you get to set it up yourself. But like a lot of times, just in a regular old life session, you may not have that choice. And you just have to make a lot of choices as you start to just work throughout the painting. It all kind of comes down to the time constraints within that session. Like, is it a 2-hour pose? Is it 3 hours? Is it just quick sketch? Et cetera, et cetera. So the way the light is hitting for me, I'm getting some obnoxious glare, but when I look at it for the stream, it actually looks fine. I'll review it later, but like it looks like it's coming across pretty good when I take a look at it. So now I'm going to come in and darken up some of the shadows underneath, especially as I got that dark in there in the background. Some of these values now need to darken up as well. But overall, the values are starting to look fairly decent early on in this stage. It's starting to have somewhat of a sculptural feel. So, so far it's headed in the right direction despite the kind of rocky start I had. That's okay. Once you have a lot of practice, it's easier to kind of come in and make adjustments. That are necessary to make. Though, since I brought the eyebrow up a little bit, and the nose came slightly longer, that forehead now is just looking a little bit too small. So just another adjustment I need to make. So initially, which happens to me a lot anyways, I was hoping to keep it a little bit smaller, so the painting grew. But that's okay. And just make those adjustments. It's not generally in this case. It's not a huge deal. Now that hair will start to get cropped off, as long as I get some of that information, hair information in there, and it'll look like he has hair and not look. Currently, he kind of looks like he's bald right now, so I need to get some of that hair reestablished. Oh, a little bit too light. But no big deal. I'll just come in and add a little bit more black. That still feels maybe a touch too light, but it's okay for the moment. Okay, gotta lighten it up as I go down the hair. So as you can see, like in the, well, actually, you guys can't see. You don't have the reference, but so like the hair is a little bit grayer in value. So he's got dark and gray hair because of his age. So, but the gray part of the hair, which I've gotten in now to a little bit too dark, I gotta lighten that up, is darker than the value on the side of the head. So that's what I was trying to get at. So now I'm gonna come back in here, kind of go a bit lighter, but right now I'm just gonna kind of pick some of it off and push some of it around with a rag. Use any and every tool at your disposal. You can definitely get some interesting works with a paper towel. You can soften up and get some interesting blended edges. And you can just start to push that paint around. Give it a little bit more of a unique look, or it can, depending on how you're applying it. But brushes will give us, each brush will give like a certain look. That's from bristle, synthetic, and everything else in between. And same with using a different instrument, like the rag will give a different look or feel to some of the marks that you're making, which will give, if it's what you're looking for, it's definitely what I like to look for, is just a lot of variety in the marks that I'm making. I don't want everything to look like it's rendered out. I like to get, at least in these quicker sessions, some interest. And I like to get that in general, but me personally, I tend to, I can get really tight or rendered, and that's not really the look that I always want. So I try to use some of these quicker sessions to help loosen myself up and get away from what is my natural habit. I think it's probably everybody's. I think we all kind of start out as more rendering and getting particular, and you gotta kind of break away from that and work on, or depending on your goal is, but like working on getting looser or more interesting brush work. Yeah, but now that I look at it, I like where it's headed. Still has a long ways to go. I'm not sure how long I'm going to demo for, but I want to keep going for right now. Someday I'll figure out how to set up paint and lighting properly to record it, but some of the glare I'm getting, it's just, yeah, it doesn't look glary when I look at the monitor, which is good, or my computer, but like, oh, I got some, get some nice bright glare in front of my face. Yeah, just kind of thinking of what I want to get done here. I think I'm going to jump down in the beard here. I need a much lighter value. So I just mixed in a bit more white. I didn't clean the brush off. The other reason I kind of like monochrome too is it can, isn't it good, but it can allow you to be lazy. And a lot of times I'll just use a couple brushes just because I don't need to keep my colors clean because it's just black and white. But yeah, so it's allowing me to be lazy by I just all I had to do was throw in some more white and terp on my brush and start putting marks down again. And something I'm gonna talk about. I mentioned this a lot in my Patreon. It probably gets annoying because I talk about it in just about every video, but it's pretty important. And it's like, um, it's all about not trying to make everything. Um, it's all about kind of like embracing making mistakes because that's always going to be kind of the process. Is you're going to make mistakes. Um, they're always going to happen. So don't be afraid to erase and make adjustments. Um, like I just started the painting and I kind of just went for it, and some things were off, but that's always gonna be part of the process. So you kind of want to like embrace the idea of always screwing up because it's always gonna kind of happen. At least it does for me. Like I don't. Whenever there's a blank canvas, I'm not gonna come in and making um, the best decisions right away or the best marks. The painting will start to take shape over time. And it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be far from perfect right away. 'Cause I've always had a lot of students that were, they can be afraid, artists in general can be afraid to make mistakes. And maybe because we're taught that early on in just school, not art, but just school in general, because we get graded on everything. But that's not what art really is. It's all about screwing it up and figuring it out as you go along. Or at least in these shorter session paintings. Obviously, you can plan a lot of stuff out, and I would, and normally if this is a longer painting, I would be planning things out a lot more. Like some of my favorite work to look at is like Leyendecker and Rockwell and all the planned out stages they go through. A lot of times it's like they've painted the finished painting a bunch of times before they paint the finished painting. Of course, in today's world, it's very difficult to put that type of time into anything just because of deadlines and everything needs to be done so quickly. But that's still like the process they go through to make sure everything does come out perfect, in quotes. And generally speaking, when you're trying to work on a larger piece, I like to do a lot of studies too. Um, I get a good solid drawing done. I'll probably do a few color comps or small painting first and then go into the larger painting. Because the more you can always plan something out, the better. Like I said earlier, like in certain situations, like a life setting, planning is very, you gotta plan on the fly and be willing to make corrections or adjustments as they come along. And not be afraid to make mistakes. And I understand that it can be very difficult to get over making mistakes. Um, but as you get more and more practice in like the mistakes and starting with a blank canvas all the time or blank sheet of paper, it does get easier to some degree in the sense that the more and more practice you get, starting that blank sheet of paper, the more your guesses are educated. You're not making amateur mistakes. It's now okay, I'm making an educated guess on where this is going and I'm getting smarter about what it is I'm doing. So that's how things kind of get easier, so to speak, is because I don't always think things get easier. You just get smarter, and as your skills develop more, you just make better decisions. You have a better hand and eye to execute those marks you need to put down. Okay. The overall beard and mouth area, they're looking pretty decent at this stage. Definitely needs a lot more work overall, but it's not looking too bad. Yeah, when that glare hits, it can just be hard to design shapes with the brush because the glare just, I don't know, it just blocks everything out. So it's kind of hard to tell some of the marks that I'm making. I mean, obviously I'm going down here, but like that's so bright. It looks like I'm just putting down a streak of light. Oh well, I'm doing my best to make it work. Also, probably because I'm using a bristle brush, it's picking up. It's probably making like little valleys and peaks and whatnot, so the light picks it up a little bit more. Nope, now that I look at it on the monitor, my laptop, it looks like there's some glare picking up now as well too. Oh well, I'll have to keep learning and reconfiguring my setup. Hmm. And now I'm just thinking. So like again, taking time to analyze the subject, not just keep making marks, but always taking a moment to not do anything and see where things are going, see what needs to be put down. Probably not going to worry too much, excuse me, about the eyes in this short amount of time. I'll probably end up finishing the painting later on. Hmm. Maybe I'll get to one. We'll see what happens here in the next few minutes. So right now I just want to come in and with some a little bit thicker black, kind of clean up the edge around the beard. Pretty crisp edge, at least in the reference. Not sure on how it is in the painting, but it looks pretty crisp around there. And it kind of softens up as it gets down in the neck. The other thing too, why it might be a little bit glary, so that looks fine. Part of it's the direction of the stroke, because obviously that's the way the light is hitting, and along with just if the paint is thick versus thin. I do kind of need to readjust some parts of the nose, or at least get some more information in there. The nose is hugely important where it dictates a lot of the direction of the face. So if the nose is too far off compared to like the features or the angle of the head that you've got established, it can really throw off a lot in the face. So it's like, all right, either I gotta fix the nose direction, shape, maybe it's too wide, etc. Um, so it matches more. I think I just got to kind of come in and get a bit more information so it's a little bit clearer. Of course, like I said, that glare is just bothering me so much. But hey, it's part of the fun. So come in and get some kind of those darker, like, I guess those are shadows. Yeah, if I squint down, they're basically shadows, not darker halftones. It's a little bit of both. Now I start to get in that nose. So you can see that edge of the nose pretty clearly. I might have a little bit too dark of a value currently, and I'll have to lighten that up. But I think that helps at least give me some direction on the face. And that glare is just not helping. So now I got kind of like readjust some of my brush strokes just to see it clearer. Oh, sorry, I'm blocking it. Oh, well, maybe I'll just neglect the nose for right now, and I'm not sure how many more minutes I'm going to get into it anyways at this point. I mean, one reason why I wanted to live stream a painting anyways is just to start to figure out the setup. Because I used to struggle, and I'm obviously still struggling with setting up the light properly. But I used to have a hard time doing that. It's way easier to film charcoal or non-reflective paint. So this is just to give me some feedback on what I need to do. All right, I think I'm gonna call it quits for right now, and then I'll finish it up and post it later on Instagram, and maybe I'll readjust some of my setup to and continue to record it later, and hopefully get rid of that glare if I do. Um, anyways, thank you for stopping by and watching, and I hope it was enjoyable to watch, at the very least, and somewhat educational. And I'll see you all later.